I didn't even really know what I was getting myself into, and it was me and I can't even remember the name of the other guy. In fact, it's a very big blank in my head because I remember memorizing lines, I remember rehearsals, I remember one performance. Every other performance is just like gone from my memory. But I just remember we had these very floofy purple shirts that we wore with a belt and tights. So I was running around in black tights in this very floofy purple shirt. All right, well then, greetings persons of quality and welcome back to this Anglisten Assemble. And today with me as always is Leon. Hi Leon, how you doing?
Hi, how you doing? I'm good, doing good.
Excellent. And we have, of course, with us Kate here as well.
What's up?
And today we also have our special guest, Elisabeth Ebert. And how are you today, Ellie?
I'm doing very fine, very excited to be here.
Excellent. Well, as we have in the past, we're going to start off with our lightning round questions. Leon seems fully prepared.
I have a blank sheet of paper in front of me.
But we can count on Kate for preparation, who's also very politely signaling for Ellie to pull her microphone closer to her, I think.
That's what that meant. Did not understand the gesture, just nodded politely.
Yeah, some of these gestures, they're interpretation. There's definitely room for it.
Definitely.
And as far as the lightning round goes, Kate, do you want to start us off?
Yes.
Go for it.
Tea or coffee?
Tea, always.
Okay.
Special kind of tea?
Do you want to continue?
I do like black tea a lot, and coffee makes my tummy hurt, so I don't have a big choice there.
That's fair enough. All right, do you have a favorite comfort food?
Chocolate. That I can eat tons of before my tummy starts hurting.
A certain type of chocolate again?
I once did a chocolate taste test with a friend of mine where we got like 10 brands of chocolate, and Rittersport Knusperschnitte got all 10 points.
Okay, I'm very curious. What were the criteria here? What made up the 10 points?
I think it was mouthfeel.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
Taste, consistency, which sounds similar to mouthfeel, but very different things. And I think beauty. In the sense, like, how did the bar look? Did that appeal to us or not? Yes, it was very scientific.
Okay.
As a consistency eater, I can agree with the mouthfeel and consistency stuff. That's very important.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay if it tastes good. If it doesn't feel good, I'm not eating it. Like, no matter how good a mushroom tastes, I'm not eating that.
So where do you stand on bubble tea then, Leon?
Disgusting. Horrible.
I second that.
I tried it once. And I got
like,
through.
Actually, but I don't like the
know.
milky version of that. That's the one that is, plain tea, but the bubbles are,
I
fruity.
mean, I'll take the tea. You can have the bubbles. I'm not touching that.
Yeah, no.
Okay, looks like I'm the only one that likes the pure tapioca boba in his bubble tea.
You mean like with milk?
I'll take a jasmine milk tea every day of the week. Absolutely.
Am I like... No.
I feel like if you have food in front of you, you take a bite from one thing and then a bite from the other, or you can combine it on like a fork or a spoon, but it's like mixing it on the plate and then eating it. That's like, no, it's separated for a reason. If you want to drink something, drink one thing and then the other.
Okay.
Okay, then another question. If you go to Chinese and then there is rice and then there is like sauce and everything, you don't mix your rice with
It's not the
sauce?
same thing though, it's a sauce.
And then not like sauce with, the veggies and meat and stuff like that. Type of thing.
If I have peas and I have mash, I'm not mixing my peas into the mash. That's not what you do.
Okay.
We're deviating from the topic.
I think we've learned what Leon's discomfort food is. So if you want to discomfort Leon, just mix some food and give it to him. Fair enough.
If you have mash and mushy peas, that's different.
All right.
Okay.
So next question is yours.
Favorite book?
Favorite book? I do love all the Terry Pratchett books. I do prefer anything centered on the Night Watch or the Witches. Those are like my favorite characters in that universe. But yeah, I read a lot of those. And at some point, they do merge into one another in my mind. So I couldn't actually pick one. But the concept of a Terry Pratchett book, that's what I would go for.
All right. I'm trying to remember. There's one with a cat as a main character that I can't quite remember the title of. Anyway.
I've just learned like about Terry Pratchett through like pop culture osmosis. I've never read anything. I know there's like a turtle that is like a world. I know there's death as the main character in some books. That's all I know.
Like, spoiler alert.
Damn.
Sorry.
Now I don't need to read the other 12
No, you don't
books.
need
They're
to read
only
any
like
of
50 years old at this point, so what are you going to do?
No, you don't have to read any of the books because you know those two details.
I have no idea who you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Move on to the next question, then you'll be fine.
All right. Favorite movie?
I watched, or the last movie I was really excited about was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Ooh.
That's,
Okay.
oh my god. I mean, damn, that was such a good movie. And I can't believe I haven't watched it a second time since then, but I think after this podcast I definitely have to.
Jamie Lee
Yeah.
Curtis is amazing in that movie.
Yes. Oh
She's
my
crazy.
god. And the hot dog's fingers are the worst thing I've ever seen while still enjoying it. It was a lot of mixed feelings.
Yeah, it makes you feel differently about mustard as well.
Yes.
But okay, that's fair enough.
I like the combat style that they used there, like the
Yeah.
kung fu style.
What was
so
the
good.
other time travel-ish or like parallel universe-ish movie that came out at the same time?
They're
Was it,
gently sophisticated.
was it
Little
Flash?
EGG plug.
Or like, what was it?
There was I think
Back
a
to the Future.
Flash movie that does something like that. I'm not a big DC fan, but
I agree.
I understand that the Flash movie did a little bit of that.
I just remember someone saying like two like multiverse or whatever movies came out at the same time. And if you want to watch both, just watch Everything Everywhere All at Once twice.
There you go. Sounds like a good move. All right, then I guess we're going to move on to a related question. Do you have a favorite fictional character? Now, this means you can also include drama or other genre.
Yeah, that one I found hard because a lot of characters I like in the context they are in, and then as soon as I isolate them from the rest, I'm like, I don't know, is this actually cool? So I landed eventually on Captain Holt. You can't go wrong with Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh yeah.
I just love his gravitas he has. Just
He's amazing.
works every time. You can plop it into every fictional universe. Always will be funny.
Such a strong character also.
Yes. Oh my
But it's
god.
also like softy on the inside.
Now
Amazing.
everything makes sense. When you talked about the chocolate, I was like, that sounds like Charles from Brooklyn Nine-Nine with the way he describes like certain like food. And now I see the
Yes.
parallels. I see where you
Yes.
got the idea from.
Did not pick boiled though, which
Yeah.
makes sense for the character. And I'm sorry.
I'm still trying to imagine Captain Holt in other universes, like plop him into a Star Trek space vessel.
I mean,
it would be
come on.
amazing. Plop him into, I don't know, some post-apocalypse Walking Dead world.
Wonderful.
Everywhere.
Any
works.
rom-com, he would be.
And I mean, any kind of police movie, it's a no-brainer, but there are so many other
I don't know.
worlds
I think
he could work.
in like Training Day, he would.
Wow. Wow, mind blown. I'm just trying to imagine him in Training Day, like being the corrupt cop then as a result of being in that particular fictional world. That would be great.
I think he's like the chef of the squad Ethan Hawke left to join the other squad.
Okay. So he's just someone from the past.
Yeah, that's why he's like so trained in on all the rules, and then he has to let go of that, which would make sense in the world.
Fair enough. Leon, you're up.
Yeah, the next one we have is your favorite slang term.
Oh.
What kind of slang are
You
we
can curse.
talking about? Because I honestly didn't know what that meant.
Like
you
you,
could-
can curse. You can say anything.
I think that's a fair question because what is slang after all but just language that's not in the dictionary?
Yeah, because
more
I
or
was
less?
It
wondering.
is in the dictionary though. Like
Some,
if you call
some
someone
is in the dictionary.
if you call someone a wanker, that's also in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was an option. Okay, good to know. Good to know. No, because I was wondering, and I was thinking then about theater slang, whether I can come up with anything. But then again, I often work either in German language theater or English-speaking theater with a lot of people who actually speak German. So that might be very specific. But what I do like is in like my improv circles, there's like this thing where when you cut a scene and jump to a different time in the story, you say something like 10 minutes later. And that's something that evolved a bit into an inside joke. So whenever we're sitting together and there's something awkward coming up, everyone's like, 10 minutes later.
Nice.
So yeah, I'll it's not technically slang maybe, but I'll go with that for now.
Okay, sounds good.
That's good.
But wanker's also a great one.
It's very British.
It's very British.
You wouldn't hear that in America at all.
Do you know that one, I forgot which sketch show it was, but there's one sketch where someone keeps saying, he's a wanker! And like that intonation just is on loop now in my brain. Thank you for that.
I feel like it would be almost more funny if we bleep it every single time we say it right now. And just no one knows which word we're using.
It would add an air of mystery.
Definitely.
Could be the worst word ever. No one knows.
And then we also blip your mouth pronouncing the words, so no
If
one
you want
can
to do that
even
editing,
read
I'm not doing that.
Because I saw this video of a girl and she's like deaf and she can read lips, and then she was reading some celebrities talking, and then she would just say stuff. It's like it's not 100% sure, but it's like 80% that she's right of what she's like reading there. All right. May I ask the next one?
Go for it.
Oxford comma, yay or nay?
I'm yay for commas in general. Because I think whenever I write a text in English, the first thing you notice is that there are too many commas in there. I think that's the most German thing I do when writing in English, that I just put tons of commas in there where I think that you should make a pause while reading. I always slot in a comma. So I can't fault anyone for using Oxford commas, although that's the one comma I do not use. So that's my diplomatic answer to that very polarizing topic.
That really does walk the line. So comma's great, Oxford comma, I can live with it, I can live without it. Okay.
Do it if you enjoy it. You do you.
I can leave it or take it.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm going to move on to if you could live in any particularly literary or fictional world. Do you have a favorite world where you think you would fit right in, or just have a good time being?
I would pick any kind of wholesome children's book. Probably the Astrid Lindgren Village. You know, something where there's never any kind of real conflict. I think that's the world I find very nicely. Just nothing happening. I think that's perfect.
Good answer.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
so
just
smart.
be bench
And then
pressing donkeys all day, or
Don't have to run out my death. Don't have to, save the world. I can just sit in a fictional world reading books about other fictional worlds again without being disrupted.
Amazing.
very cool.
Very idyllic. Okay, next one, Leon.
Let's see which one the next one is. Yeah, if you could have a talk with one celebrity, author, or historical figure, which one would it be and why?
I would talk with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and I will crap my pants while doing so. But oh my god, I would love to do that. She's the author, director, and actor of Fleabag, which was like huge success both on stage and as a filmed version. And she's just a great author, great director, great actor. Though I had to catch myself because I'm not sure whether she also directed it. But the other two things stand: writer and actor. Amazing.
Do we know if there's going to be another season of that's going to happen at any point, or has that not been written yet?
As far as I know, it's only the 2 seasons. I don't think there's a third one coming up.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Like, not at all. I've never heard of this ever.
Then after this, go home, watch all 2 series.
I feel like
It's amazing.
usually you do research before you have an episode to see like who is this person, what are they talking about, what might they talk about. I always do the opposite. Like I listen to what the people say, and like afterwards I do the research on everything because I have
That's
no idea
called
what they-
learning. Learning is perfectly acceptable, Leon. Fine. So, Kate, I think you get to ask your favorite question now.
Yay! Okay, this question you didn't get because it's a surprise question. Leon versus Kate in a pistol duel. Who's gonna win?
Okay, Leon, I'm so sorry. I don't know you, but Kate.
This is rigged. This is literally a person only you know.
Yeah.
Kate
The
is just
thing
gonna
is-
keep inviting like her best friends. Just like who's gonna win?
We're not best friends. We're
No.
besties.
I was fully prepared for you to say, I hate her.
I don't know this person.
No, Leon, but the advantage here is not that we know each other, but that I've seen Kate doing a stage combat workshop. So I know that she can do a very good ninja roll. And I don't know whether that comes in handy in a pistol duel, but it certainly
can't hurt.
is something.
I have done parkour and judo and shooting.
Well, I do not know you. I just want to reiterate. I did not get a bio of you.
Yeah.
Before I
And
should.
I mean, to quote a certain lecturer by the name Pat Squaga, she said killer instinct. So there you go.
Oh no, this happened every episode.
Yeah,
so
we
far.
ask.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Leon.
It's like 2-0 for
Oh,
now.
no.
Yeah. Well,
It's fine.
Okay, you need to invite someone who knows of your impressive background.
either that or you need to like start posting on Insta just videos of you shooting things. Like, check out this watermelon action.
This ain't America, dude. This is not how it works
Something,
here.
you know? I don't know. I'm not sure how else you can up your game
It's
here.
like pictures of my next holiday going to America, just going to a shooting range to train.
So, Ellie, I wanted to jump in the conversation kind of basically, first off, starting by saying you're someone that I've seen, I've met kind of in between one place and another, but never had an opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with, not really. And so this is a nice opportunity for me. I thank you for being here. And I know you under the auspices of the English Drama Group. Could you tell me maybe just a little bit about how you got into that and why you do it? I mean, it seems to a certain extent, I mean, absolutely no shade on English Drama Group, like a thankless job. You know, you're begging for money, you're putting on shows. How did you get into that?
When I first got to university, I thought that I really wanted to do theatre because I wanted to do that at school as well, but I was too shy and didn't dare to get into the theatre groups there. And then I think the first day of university, I went to like an open workshop of the English Drama Group, and I performed with them 2 semesters, then got out, never went back until a friend of mine who had the job before me stepped down and asked whether I wanted to take over. And in the meantime, I had done my training as a drama teacher. So I actually work as a freelance drama teacher. And I took that very gladly because for most of my work, I work with children or teenagers. And the English Drama Group is then something where everyone's an adult, takes on more responsibility, and there's just more possible. So yes, the pay isn't great, especially not because it's... I'm not going to get into it. No, I needed to catch myself. No, it's...
We can cut anything that you say. You just have to let us know.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so in some regards, it is a thankless job, but it's also something that's very close to my heart because there is just a lot of possibility and a lot of motivation in the room. And I can just do a lot of artistic things there that I have no other place to put them into at this moment, at least. Yeah.
Okay.
I really enjoy that.
So since you said you want to, or you're a drama teacher as well, or like freelance right now, is this something you might want to pursue it later? Or is it more something that you're doing right now and maybe more as a bridge to something else?
It's something that I've been doing for some years now. So I've already, like at some point I said that uni is my hobby because I already work quite a bit. It's also why it takes so long for me to finish my studies. But I'm shifting a bit like the focus where I'm going. So right now the focus has been like children and teenagers, and starting next year I want to move more into the direction of directing. And so in that way, at this moment, I'm a bit in a transition phase where I stick with the same area that I'm in, but trying to find a bit of a different focus, maybe. Although I also enjoy working with children, so it's, it's 2 things that I really like, but it's a bit, putting my feelers out where I want to go with it. Yeah.
Okay. Kate,
Yeah,
did you want to jump in?
I had a question because you talked about, shifting your focus, and you've been doing a lot of theater. Have you ever considered directing like a movie, short movie?
I hate everything that has to do with film.
Really?
Not as a consumer, I love film. I love movies, I love series, but I'm too fucking impatient. I can't do it. I've tried it sometimes, but I just can't take the setup, and then the acting for a camera makes me anxious.
She sat in front of the camera
Yes,
with her voice
yes.
being recorded as well.
See, I wouldn't do a podcast. That's a lie. I've done a podcast, but I stopped doing that. Yeah, no, it's really a very different way of approaching acting and directing, because it of course you still work with stories, you still work with actors, but the process is so much different. And what I love about theater is that it's so in the moment, even though if you rehearsed it, and it's not improv, which I also love, but even if it's rehearsed, it always only exists in combination with an audience.
Sure.
And that's something that I love very much and that I find very magical. And with film, I'm always frustrated that I'm acting to a camera and the camera is only saying, do less. I'm like, oh no, my theater acting is like, do everything at 200% so that the last row can see. I can't do less. I don't want to take on this challenge. Yeah. Yeah, that was a very passionate answer.
Yeah.
Whatever works, we're here for the truth. Okay. You mentioned a couple of things that I kind of want to get back to. So you said that you've trained now as a drama teacher, and my brain just goes, where does one do that, and how does that happen? So what was your experience?
Basically, there's I'm searching for the word in my brain right now. Verband? What's that in English?
I don't know, an association of
An
some kind.
association. There's an association that has its headquarters in Herford, basically the LAG Spiel- und Theater NRW, Landesarbeitsgemeinschaft Spiel- und Theater NRW, and they have a training program, and the head of that association is also a teacher here at university in the Germanistic department, Michael Zimmermann, shout out, and yeah, he sort of has this Germanistic theater seminar pipeline into the training program.
I love how interdisciplinary we just became. Continue.
Yes, definitely. It's like as soon as you go into like the theater scene in Bielefeld, you have like all the connections. It's a big web of a lot of people coming from different walks of lives. Yeah, and then basically you do 3 years or 2.5 years where you have weekends where you learn about different aspects of theater, maybe something with object work, something with puppets, sometimes one weekend directing, one clown, one music in theater. And then you have to do, of course, some internships, do a project yourself, and then afterwards you get a certificate. And if you wanted to go technically, then that's like like the basis where you could also put another training on top to have a title basically one grade above. So I stopped after the Grundlagenausbildung, more or less.
Okay.
But yeah, because like Theaterpädagogik, it's not like a copyrighted word in German. So there are different associations doing different kind of programs, basically.
Okay, and so what other kinds of certifications could you possibly put on top of that? I don't know.
There's another association that would then give you the title of Theaterpädagogin Butt.
Okay.
Yeah, basically it's just it's similar modules, but just more in depth, and then you do like another year of training afterwards. And then basically what you do is with that title you can show how many hours you put into the training you've done. Yeah, and that's like like a training that people from different associations can get into, and then all get the same degree afterwards.
Okay, so
Yes.
a little more universal,
Yeah.
or okay, fair enough. And you just leveled up at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. I've just got questions aplenty here.
I actually wanted to ask something, but then I forgot because I was listening so carefully.
But thanks for listening.
That's what pens are for.
So where does like this interest in theater come from? Is it like just like it grew up? It's like it spurted at some point because you saw theater, or because you like literature, or apparently not movies, but like, did you go to theater? Did you watch anything, or is it just like, hey, I might try this, and then you start to like it?
Yeah, funnily enough, my interest in theatre and English sort of come from the same source, more or less, because an uncle of mine, he comes from Australia, and he has a friend who has a English-speaking theatre company who perform plays at schools. It's the White Horse Theatre. Sometimes they've also been... Oh, you know them?
Yes, because we follow them on Instagram,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we do. Yeah, and they do like very cool plays, always 4 actors, a set that travels slightly, and so on and so forth. And because my uncle had a connection with the artistic director there, we were always invited to the dress rehearsals, and so we could watch always the age-appropriate shows. So me and my cousin at 6 years old just sat in the first row, and then pirates came on stage, and I thought that was scary and amazing. I do remember finding the pirates very scary because they kind of came from behind, from the audience, and I was, that was a bit much, but the rest was amazing. So yeah, I think that was really like the first interest in theater, and then my family just loves doing jokes, so I think that's also something. I guess whose family doesn't.
Did you like do you like directing more or acting yourself? Because I know you as a director, and I've seen you a couple of times on stage, but it was more of improv shows.
I do like directing more, but I also had more opportunity to direct than to act in the last years. So I definitely would like to act some more, but also mostly to get better at directing, because I do enjoy being able to talk about like the big picture and not having to learn lines, because honestly, even though I make other people do that, I'm not the best at that.
Just to improv.
That's what I do. That's what I do, my friend.
So from that, I take that
so
you're more
true.
into like, not like you don't like doing plays that are already written, but you like the creative part of writing on your own or doing improv?
I like both. I did do more self-devised plays, like in the total, but moved more into finished scripted plays in the last, especially with the EDG in the last semesters. Also because there was the wish from the group as well to do that, and I think it's also good not to never do that if you want to direct, because it's also a different kind of work if you take a text and then have to make it work for a group or make the group work for the text. And that's also very, very different but very interesting to do that, because you if you devise a play or have more improv elements to it, there are certain things you don't have to you have to discuss less, because you've already developed it together, so everyone was part of the process and already knows why character X is now saying that sentence, because we've been there and we know what the consequences was, more or less. But once you have like a already written text, there's a bit more working around that and more variation to go down and see like what kind of interpretation makes sense overall. And I enjoy both.
I feel it so much, because every time I had to learn text, I was like, oh no, it doesn't stick in my head. I cannot. But then at the same time, I had, scenes with some of English drama group members, and they would come up to me, it's like, can you not say these things? Can you not improvise too much? It's like, okay, I'm sorry, because people are waiting for their clues to come, and then me ad-libbing some stuff, and it's like, okay. Or sometimes Ellie would go, no, I don't like it. And that's fine, because Ellie is the boss.
Yeah, that's also the part that I like about being the director.
The boss.
It's also exhausting, but it's also fun to be...
The power?
The power. I mean, directing also only is fun if if you're more of a moderator than a boss. Like that's what you're doing really. But yeah, I do enjoy taking all the ideas of other people and then making them work together. I think that's the part of directing that I really enjoy.
The teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you kind of already answered a bit of my next question, which is basically, how do you choose which plays to do at EDG? Like, I don't know. There's been a lot I'm going to say eclectic choices.
Yeah.
And I wonder, you already mentioned, okay, yes, scripted things for sure. They have their time and place. Grabbing for a Shakespeare play, or I don't know, Miller or somebody, canonical in some way, shape, or form. Is that something that you were interested in, or?
So the big thing with choosing a play for the EDG is that you have a lot of factors that you have to take into account. First is you need a play with at least 14 characters, if not more, because otherwise you don't get all the people that want to participate on stage.
You get to be a tree.
Yes.
And you can just kind of put up your arms.
And I've already done variations of, you're going to be a bear.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna be a TV person.
I'm a TV person. Then I need to make sure that it's not too long, because if it's longer than, honestly, 1.5 hours, even 1.5 hours, let's be honest, is too long, but I still do that. So I need something that's not too long. And then I need something that's not too expensive, because I need to pay for performance rights. So basically Shakespeare, no problem. Wild, no problem. Everything where the author is dead for a long time, no problem. But as soon as we're going contemporary, I need to pay between 90 and 100 euros per performance.
Wow.
So that's something to take into account.
Who gets that money?
The publisher.
Wow.
And then the
Okay.
author, ideally.
Okay, so
If the
assuming
publisher
they're
is
still
good,
alive,
then
and-
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So just like Midsummer Night's Dream 4 times a year, basically.
Yes. That's a cheap production then. Or doing something you own is also a cheap production.
I've done Midsummer Night's Dream in school, and that one is pretty easy when it comes to like locations and productions, because you basically just have like 2 locations and like a couple of characters, and that's it.
Yeah. And then basically if you have like all this logistic criteria ticked off, and then you already reduced the possibilities you have down a bit, then it's a bit a question of taste, because there is just like some plays where I'm not excited about directing them, and that doesn't mean that it wouldn't work for the group, but it would mean that I would be less equipped to motivate everyone if I'm like, if somebody else would do it, it would work. But if I do it, then, I need to be excited about that.
For sure.
So that's also why I tend not to do Shakespeare, because that's something where I'm like, let somebody else do that. Not that I don't enjoy watching Shakespeare, but putting it on, I don't know. I did something with Midsummer Night's Dream, actually. I did enjoy that. During the Corona times, we did an audio version and a 40-minute version as well.
Very condensed.
Very condensed.
That's what I wanted to ask. Like, you could just like, have you ever thought about like doing a creative or like a new version of an old classic? Like, you could take Shakespeare and just take a new spin, a new approach, modernize it or whatever. Like, there is ways to do that, and people like know the classics, so they know how it maybe have changed, which would also be very interesting to see. Like, okay, Midsummer Night's Dream in Berlin Underground or something.
Yeah, definitely. That's always an option you have. I think what you then need to decide is, do you want to stick with the text and make that interpretation work through costume, scenery, and whatever, or do you also want to change the text? And as soon as you want to change the text, you need to factor in time again. And that's a big thing, because everything we do within 3 months, which is absolutely absurd. In no other context would I do something like that in 3 months. When I look at our rehearsal plans and I compare that to the time I have in like my children's projects, in the same amount of time I do a 90 minutes play with the EDG, I do 20 minutes with children. I mean, we do have more rehearsal time and more time that goes into EDG, of course, but we still only have a weekly rehearsal. And I amped it up to 3 hours this semester, but usually 2 hours per week, and then some rehearsal weekends. So there's just not a lot of time to do anything. No, but those are like all the things that go into deciding what to do. So it's always also a risk to do something yourself, which we've done in the winter term. Yeah. Because then I spent the first month or 1.5 months devising the play before we could actually get into rehearsing, which again works if the devising is well organized, which I'm not sure it was. It was. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because then you don't need as much rehearsal time. Because but
You could just have like students write plays for their creative module and them handing it into the EDG, and you just take the best 2 or 3s and just have the script written down and ready.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about in general, that's a nice combination. I don't know whether I would do that for an entire play, because writing a 1-hour show, if the people never have done that, I don't know, could
hard.
work. It is hard. But I've definitely thought about variations where you maybe write like 3-minute scenes and come up with a collage afterwards. I think that would be great, actually.
Like a Monty Python sketch after sketch after
for
sketch.
Example,
That sounds like it's workable.
I mean, Monty Python is basically just an EDG.
That's high praise for the EDG.
I mean, if I get to be rich like those Monty Python guys, yeah, I'm full in.
Not with EDG.
I was going to say, it depends on which Python guy you ask. After how many divorces, how much money they have. I'm not so sure.
I feel like if the EDG came up with a defending against the banana sketch, it wouldn't work as well.
Probably
The
not.
fish slapping sketch would work perfectly.
Yeah, that's true.
That's an easy one.
I want to see the lumberjack scene again.
Well, that kind of brings me musicals. I've never seen a musical done.
Because we don't sing.
Because
Why
I
not?
can't sing.
But if you're directing, you don't have to necessarily sing.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, we've done a musical number last time,
Exactly.
and it took us so long to get that rehearsed. Again, it's a time issue.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but it's mostly a competency. Is that a word?
Competencies, for
Is that a
sure.
word?
Yeah.
On my part, because I don't know how to direct musicals, basically.
Okay.
And I tend not to be a big fan of just putting songs in. So, because you could, of course, make a theater show that's technically not a musical, but has a lot of musical numbers in it. But the risk then is that those are just songs and they don't help with the plot, basically. But yeah, last semester and this semester as well, we'll have one scene where a random musical number will appear and will have some kind of logic within the plot. But yeah, I'll be all up for that.
Secrets.
To see someone else do that, please.
It's just like copyright is such an annoying thing,
Yeah.
because you could do so much with music if there wasn't copyright on every single good song, on every single fun song. There are so many like cool ideas you could do, but like, okay, I can't use this song and this song. And
Yeah,
this
how
song.
far back in the past do you have to look for, non-copyrighted or trademarked or whatever GEMA music?
Even I looked at the Radetzky March, right, and that's still GEMA and copyrighted. Like, it
No.
doesn't. It is. No, it's like, I don't know how old it is, but old classical music is still copyrighted by you up to a certain degree if you use it, because it's not the song itself, but it's who sang it.
Yeah,
And
sure.
that
Individual
version?
performance is what was
Yes.
recorded.
And
But
you
if
can't
you're
really go-
performing it yourself in a
Yeah, that
play,
works.
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
But then-
that's something different.
That's true. I mean, like, but even then, like, I don't think you can take like a David
don't-
Guetta song or whatever it is, or like whoever you want to listen to, and say like, yeah, I'm performing this myself, therefore I can. I don't think that works.
I
that
mean,
way.
you can have a cover, I think.
Can you?
Yes. Well, if you do a cover, then it's GEMA free. That's why they always, if you go to a restaurant and they have those...
Yeah, it's always weird cover versions. That's
exactly.
true. It's like that's not.
Yeah, and that you can actually use. But I feel like directing a musical is a different, I don't know, like as you said, different set of skills. You have to be able to either sing or play an instrument, at least, like be capable of musically capable somehow. Then you have to do the choreography, or you have to have another person to do the choreography, and it's just a lot of also rehearsing time. Definitely.
It takes like, you would have to trust your group a lot for them to like practice on their own, because as a group practice you have to practice the like cohesion and the synergy between everyone, and on their own they would have to practice their own parts a lot more than usual, especially the people that sing.
And I don't know, like, can we sing? Can the EDG sing?
This leads me to another question, like, what do you think about the talent pool around here? This is not a leading question in any way, shape, or form.
Please rate every single individual member here.
But I mean, it must be, I don't know, a very heterogeneous group is all I'm thinking. So it must be difficult to really pick out, okay, this person's going to do this and this person's going to do that. So what?
Yeah, the thing is, that's always like a like the base question, the fundamental question of what is the English drama group, and it is devised as a group that's open to every level, so it needs to cater to every level. What I always do is like I have like 1, 2, if I have a lot of time, 3 sessions where everyone gets like a very fast introduction into how do we do theater in this group, so that we all be reminded of like what are some things to be aware of. Okay, so now back to the audience, although that usually we don't need to train that. Most of the people are good at that. Or how can I pay attention to my other players? How do I take up cues? So that we all have like a similar baseline, even though some people come in for the first time or have a lot of theater experience but haven't been in the group so far, so that you just know like what do I mean if I say focus, or what do I mean when I say I don't know. Shut up. I never say shut up. No. I'm far too conflict avoidant for that. So what I'd rather do is have people choose what kind of characters they would be up to play. Everyone puts in 3 wishes, and then I slot accordingly and see. Basically, I just work out like the Sudoku puzzle.
Okay.
And then it's more based on people being realistic about themselves rather than me saying, well, I've seen you perform for 2 hours, I guess you can do this, because that's never going to be accurate. So I'd rather have people think about what am I up to try out, and then be upfront about like this role needs this amount of work outside of rehearsal, this role is good for beginners, for example, and then they can choose from that pool of characters, basically.
Okay.
But yeah, that's like a fundamental question of the whole thing.
Sure.
What I like with theater, especially the EDG, from the few plays I've seen, is that there's no really like typecasting in theater as much as in like movies. Because in movies it's like, okay, you're playing this character, so you have to look like them, you have to be like them. But in theater, not so much. It's more about you performing the character. So you can have a man playing a woman, you can have a woman playing a man, and so on. All of that works in theater way more than in movie, which makes theater way more flexible than in movies.
Absolutely, because the audience already accepted that we're going to make up bullshit in front of their eyes. So they're not that much sold on realism at that point. Also, of course, the style I do with the EDG is not realistic at all. I go very over the top. Like I'm a very clownesque director in that way. Other people might do that differently. But I think in general, theater has this bonus of being made up anyway.
I like my mustache. I loved my mustaches when we did the real Inspector Hound. And the red hair that I was wearing. Damn, those were times.
Yeah, fake mustaches are always a must-have.
Definitely. Yeah.
Mustache.
No,
Sorry.
I want like a Monty Python version, like sketch after sketch after sketch, and each sketch is just one old play made new, like renewed, and one is just like Romeo and Romeo or Juliet and Juliet.
I think those plays exist with exactly that title.
That would be so funny, just like a very like a collage of old plays just in modern context.
We've been so focused on asking Ellie different questions and so on, which brings me to the idea to ask a question.
But I just remember we had these very floofy purple like shirts that we wore with a belt and tights. So I was running around in black tights in this very floofy purple shirt.
Yes, please do.
That's a very vague question. My past.
About your
we're talking about
theatrical
before
past.
the CIA training. I mean, I can't remember certain things anymore.
The dark secrets.
No, I mean, when I was, I don't know, I guess in my 3rd or 4th year at college in the U.S. at Aquinas College, we put on a performance of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, which was so much work. I didn't even really know what I was getting myself into, and it was me and I can't even remember the name of the other guy. In fact, it's a very big blank in my head because I remember memorizing lines, I remember rehearsals, I remember one performance. Every other performance is just like gone from my memory. But I just remember we had these very floofy purple like shirts that we wore with a belt and tights. So I was running around in black tights in this very floofy purple shirt. I couldn't even tell you if I was Rosencrantz or Guildenstern anymore. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't think Stoppard makes a big distinction between the two anyway, nor does Shakespeare. But yeah, it was such a fascinating experience in memory because, you know, you have to sit down. You have to memorize all these lines. It's a fairly lengthy play, and either one of those characters have a lot of lines. There's a lot of playing off each other. But I couldn't tell you a single line from the play anymore. It was just like that. It was like in and out. My head is just a vacuum as far as that's concerned. And I think had I stayed in the U.S. longer, I would have done more. After college, I joined a community theater in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where I was part of a Hamlet production. So fit with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, but I got to play Osric. And Osric has one fun line, which is a hit, a very palpable hit. And that's pretty much it. So I got to be, kind of background player for the community theater group.
Nice.
Wait, you did Shakespeare in America. Do you guys do it in an English accent or do you do it in your own accent?
I think you'd have to ask every actor what
did you do?
tact they're going to take. I think with Osric, I was trying to put on a very strange accent, more or less. It wasn't supposed to be British. I mean, it's a Danish, lesser noble. So what does he sound like? The director was very, I guess he didn't care about me because I was such a minor character, I think is the bottom line. But I don't know. For me, it was just kind of a fun look behind the scenes at the theater scene in my hometown. And that was fun to see how many really good actors there were there. Like our Hamlet was really good. Like he nailed it. And we had maybe 3 performances. It wasn't a huge production that we were continuing on with for very long. But just, I don't know. There's also just a certain kind of, bonding that happens when you're doing these things.
Yes.
And that experience in and of itself was a lot of fun too. Just, getting to know all of the other different actors and, seeing their fears and struggles and victories and failures on and off stage, I think is just a lot of fun to experience yourself. So, I can only recommend trying things out like the English drama group because it does give you an entirely different perspective on yourself and other people when you're in this kind of group effort.
In a different universe, Brian was like a Broadway actor.
Or a voice actor.
Or a voice actor.
Yeah.
Or a movie star,
Yeah.
like in Jumanji with Jack Black.
There
Oh
you
my
go.
god, yes, I can see it.
I left space for Jack Black. We'll just say, I'm still waiting for my check, but, he owes me
Every
one.
time you go to like a class, I could have been with Jack Black, but I'm here now.
I mean, Jack Black's stand-in. Why not?
Sounds glorious.
But you're missing the beard, though.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
We talked about this.
But I do think what you said about theatre being like a social experience is so important because when I think of like the ADG, it's also, of course, it's a theatre group, but it's also a place where people meet their friends and get to know new friends, and even some people that I met in the first semester where I participated, they are still friends because they know each other from the EDG, and that's like 10 years ago. So that's a long time. And it's, especially in university, I think that's so valuable because, let's be honest, you don't necessarily meet your friends in seminars. You meet them everywhere else, but not in a seminar. Or at least not for me, or that wasn't the case. And I think it doesn't really matter whether it's theatre then, or sports, or debate club, or maybe a group presentation in a seminar. But theatre, of course, has like this extra advantage that it forces you to get to know people. Because in any other context, you wouldn't have someone shout at you, and now clap your hands together and make a little dance up. And then you're all of a sudden in a very weird situation, and that bonds you already because it's you against that weird drama teacher in the corner.
For sure. I remember we used to do all of these different kinds of like preparation exercises before every rehearsal. Like we were guided by our director into these kinds of like internal meditations, like, And now you're laying down on a nice sandy beach. I want you to imagine, how does the sand feel on your heels? And now just imagine how it feels on your calves. And you're just imagining the feeling of the sand on your back. And the sun, how does the sun feel? And he would just give us all of these guided meditations. So like 5 minutes later, we're all waking up from this hypnosis before we're doing all these silly things like, okay, now do a silly dance or something along those lines. So it was always this, I don't know, preparation to do something embarrassing by doing something really, I don't know, introspective first. It was this strange mixture. It was a lot of fun.
It feels like every performance and preparation for the performance, especially those last couple of weeks, they feel like it's a summer camp. And it's gonna be for another play, another performance. It's never gonna be the same as it is for this one, or the very first one that you have experienced. The sitting backstage and waiting until you are up to be on stage. It's just, I don't know. It's such an amazing feeling that's why I'll never finish the university, because I always want to do the theater. But yeah, no, it's amazing. So nostalgic also.
I mean, there are theaters beyond the university, and I'm sure they might have a place for someone like you if you continue down this path.
I will never be able to survive the fact that I will be somewhere either backstage or just like, how do you call that? Statisten?
You could also just be one of the main leading roles.
You cannot, because you
just be good.
Exactly.
That's all you need to do.
Fired.
Most
Like
of the
the
time
people.
you have like to study to be an actor here. And for starting to study, and I checked it out after high school because I was like, well, it's kind of fun, maybe. And you have to be able to dance and sing, and you
Which you're not going to learn with me.
It's basically a study program. And it's on,
Yes, and you and when you are applying, you already have to prove that you can sing, for example. Otherwise, they won't take you. Or if you have like big ass talent, this is what says on the website, for example, for special talents. Like, what is my special talent? I'm me.
Shooting Leon. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I mean, the thing is in Bielefeld, because this is where all the theater teachers get their training, there's like a huge amount of amateur community groups
that's true.
to get into. So that's, for a city this size, it's amazing how much is going on. But of course, it's different depending on what you want to go for, because I think the English drama group in a way is quite special, even within this huge amount of offers, in that it's so weird because we do not have an actual theater room. All of the equipment we use, I bought for the group, more or less. We don't. It seems like on some levels we don't have a lot of resources, but on another level we have a huge amount of resources compared to other groups. We have a room where we can play. We can fit 300 people in. You would get, with no other group in Bielefeld, you get 300 people in the audience, and all the the lighting equipment we have. If you are in a community theater group that is part of a theater, then that's going to be better. But if you're a community group that meets self-organized, you're not going to get that kind of equipment. So that's like a very interesting way to think about that, because I think sometimes forget that the EDG is also very privileged in a way, because I keep being very annoyed by the fact that our rehearsal space is too small for that larger group, that's going to get closed down during the construction work, that we only have H7 and only have the equipment that we get ourselves, and so on and so forth. But still, there's a lot of perks to it, and university is a place where some of these things are easier than they're ever going to be somewhere else. So
there is a university back here, at least that especially students and employees can get some benefit from.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I want to change tacks here, just for a quick second, in two directions. My first direction is, you mentioned being in some kind of a transition, much earlier in our conversation. So it begs the question, logically for me, English Drama Group Plus. Are you grooming a replacement for yourself? What's going on there?
Yes, so I'm definitely not going to do the English drama group forever. I think that's clear.
No.
And English drama group plus, not necessarily grooming a replacement, but in general, I'm going to back up a bit. Before Corona, there was a lot of uni theatre going on. During Corona, lots of groups basically died. And after that, I really wanted to get people doing stuff again, because it's so cool that there are so many different groups doing stuff around here, and there was a lot going on again. And I also wanted to, poke people from the EDG into doing stuff, because all of them have such great ideas and would do stuff differently than I do. And I've been doing it for quite some time. And I do have a style. I always pick the weird sci-fi shit. That's just what I love. So it's great to have other people also deciding on what's going to be on, and not just me sort of monopolizing what the English drama group does. And now finally, two people, Kate and Eric, took up the nudging. And Eric put on a play earlier this semester, and Kate is doing like a streaming event to watch other productions. And I just like to see other people try themselves out in the role that I usually take in that group. And if then someone says, you know what, if you go, I'm here, I mean, that's just an advantage for us all.
That's a fair answer. Very diplomatically well done. Okay. Good. Kate, maybe you can use this as an opportunity then to talk about that streaming. What's streaming? What's going on there?
Plug it.
Do it. Plug.
Well, as I already, I think, mentioned in the previous episode, but I don't remember. It was such a long time ago. Well, anyway, what I do essentially is that Ellie and we chose a couple of plays that we wanted to see, but we didn't want to see them ourselves, because it's not fun when you watch it by yourself, but rather in a group. And we just decided to make a little bit of cross PR, also reminding people that we are offering different things, and have a constant presence of the English drama group in the university throughout the semester, not at the end of the semester, and to offer a couple of things. The first one is we're done. We were watching The Merry Wives of Windsor, and it was amazing. And it was amazing to, see that people were having fun with us. And the next one is going to be the Into the Woods. It's always the first Wednesday of the month, and it's at 6 p.m. in H10, so you can check it out. And the last one is going to be Angels in America. Yes, exactly. So, yeah, that's the thing.
So, where are we streaming these from, exactly?
Well, we basically... Is it legal?
Yeah. I rescind the question. Let's mark that and cut. All right.
No.
Is it streaming? Is it recording? Like, what are you doing?
Basically, we get access to certain platforms online, or from the university library that is accessible for free, and we just turn it on, and with a little presentation maybe.
So basically you have a viewing instead of a university location room with other students. More or less, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds legal.
Yeah.
More than what I thought it would be, like streaming it to other people outside of
Pirate.
university.
Oh, no.
Just
Just
that?
a
Let's
showing.
just not dwell on the legality of things for a moment, shall we? Let's just breeze over that.
What is legality in a free world, right?
Especially in the culture sector. That's always a bit murky.
Absolutely. Ellie, I have another question, again, changing tacks. If you're not doing English drama group, if you're not doing theater, what are you doing for fun?
More theater? It is very time consuming, all of that. What do I do for fun? What's fun anymore? No, you need to know.
You mentioned reading books in the Astrid Lindgren world, for example, so...
True, but also, since I've started studying all those years ago, I read less and less for fun, actually. University kind of beat that out of me. It's not very... Reading is very connected to work now. Also, the reason why it takes so long to answer the question is that I'm currently writing my master's thesis, so that's always in the back of my mind. But yeah, I also enjoy drawing from time to time, just random stuff. Sometimes I play the saxophone, and I play the same song I've been playing for the last 3 years because I'm too lazy to learn something new, but for fun and relaxing.
So what are
That's
you
fine.
annoying your neighbors with when you play the saxophone?
A random boogie.
Okay.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm so sorry to my neighbors. But at least it's only every 3 months. So
Okay.
no, it's not regular practice.
Is it
then.
scheduled?
It's scheduled, yes. Like clockwork. Like my body at some point just goes, and then I need to go get the
The
saxophone.
neighbors have like a calendar where they have like a cross on it, and then put on headphones. It's today.
I have to
Get
think
out.
of this video of Jack Black sucks a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
All right, folks. So I'm fresh out of questions at this point. Do you have questions for us? You can't see it, but Ellie is giving Leon a very interesting look.
No. I was very tempted to make another Kate is shooting Leon
That's what
joke.
I assumed.
Make
yeah.
it.
No.
Please.
Yeah, what got you into podcasting? I mean, that's also a kind of performance you're putting on in a way. What's something you enjoy about that?
How did this all start? So I think it started with me, and I contacted a couple of people I wanted to have a podcast with, and Brian was one of them.
I was number 3, by the way. I was not number 1.
Wow. Okay.
There's a reason for that. It wasn't in order of favorability, but whatever. And the other two, basically, it's not decline, but they had their own thing going, so they didn't have the time to do another podcast. So Brian and I were just left alone, and we were like, we can still just do it. And we decided on doing it, and we already had a name, which I think you suggested, which is the one we have right now. And at some point we were just like, okay, there's COVID. We don't have anything better to do. We have microphones. We have time. What do you want to talk about? And we decided on university-related topics to inform students about things they want to know during the semester, or like they want to know on a way to somewhere. I mean, this is a podcast form. You can listen to it wherever you are. So we just started with whatever we thought might be interesting. How to English Week, study program, what do you need to know. We interviewed lecturers to introduce them and their topics so students know who these people are. And then we had a hiatus for multiple reasons. And we're back. Brian, do you want to add anything to this? To my very, very short explanation.
You know, I still think the fact that I was the third person that you asked is the most important thing that we mentioned in this entire thing. There's no bitterness at all. I hardly think about it anymore. No, but I would agree. I mean, it is a performance, and I think, the two of us, I feel like, Leon, you're not a natural ham. I'm a ham. Like, I like the spotlight. I'll take it anytime. Kate's a natural ham. I think, Ellie, you're a natural ham.
I don't know what that means, but I assume that you're not talking about meat, so I say yes, I am.
Yeah, it's just someone who really, will enjoy being in the spotlight for no reason whatsoever. Just, I'll take it, sure.
I'll take the slang word. I'll use it for the next question.
There you go.
There's a difference. I like being in the spotlight. I don't like getting constantly roasted. So
you chose the wrong working partner in Kate, I think, if that's if that's the case. But
I'm always being nice to Leon.
I had no control of this
Don't
choosing.
complain. We talk about it out of.
We talk about this afterwards.
Yes.
I think it's like if you're sitting in a bar and says, we'll talk about this outside, is what just happened here.
Catch me outside. How about that?
You see this knife?
All right, fair enough. I don't have anything to add. I think the hiatus, it just kind of, we petered out after
we had
COVID
stuff to
ended.
do.
Yeah, we had to get back to normal-ish at that point.
And it was basically just, before that was us two just meeting in a Zoom room. Like, we had cameras, we had like our crappy microphones, and just thought about like, okay, what is it that is university related that we want to talk about? And because I'm extremely inept when it comes to anything electronic and technology.
That's true.
You did the editing. I tried once and I failed miserably. That episode will never be seen again. It is lost in.
I have it. It may just crop up at some point.
No.
You never know.
But like I could, because you had to do all the editing stuff. You could also only do it when you have time. And you do have something people would call a life. Therefore, you could.
Some people more than others, I guess. Depending on how much life they have.
Yeah. Therefore, you couldn't do it all the time. But yeah, after we didn't have to hang around in the Zoom room all the time, anyways. It was more like, hey, we could also just go outside and do something else. And then when Kate got introduced to the mix, it was like, hey, no, there's a person who's really motivated in doing this, so
I paid for it.
So we're on our heels.
Absolutely. So giving Kate her flowers again.
See, I'm the
motivating
nice
force
one.
here.
No, I just always wanted to create some content, but I'm too lazy for YouTube, and I didn't have any ideas. So I was like, why not?
I have a bandwagon I can jump on now, so
Exactly. And you just
I don't know why dodo birds come to mind for some reason, or maybe cuckoos. Anyway,
Yeah, 3 weeks from now it's only Kate.
I have the feeling we're gonna get kicked out of the nest at some point.
what do you
No,
mean
it's
kick
fine.
off? We
I
just
have my
vanish.
own podcast, which means like I don't need you at all.
Oh, speaking of your own podcast, you want to plug that before we wrap up here today?
Oh, we're gonna cut it.
If you edited and knew how to edit, maybe you could cut it, but I think you're not capable.
Kate blows a raspberry. Well, yeah, no, I just started a podcast with my friend, Ruvi. So we're called Chai Talk, which is kind of, a cultural thing, a little bit of movies, a bit of life and other stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I heard your Insta, story, very short clip.
Yeah.
And I had to say, I was pulled in right away just because you've got the whole migration thing going on there, talking about what it's like to, come to this wonderful country and just see what happens at different ages. And I thought it was interesting listening to your perspectives coming from such a very different age level than when I came.
And I mean, there are numbers for that. There are terms for that. For, when you come at a different age, from 0 to 5, I think, and there's 1.25 or something. And then the older you get, for example, if you're 13 or 15, then it's 1.75 generation of migrant, which is super interesting. And then we were talking about that. But you can check it out.
I know nothing about this.
We'll go ahead and throw a link there in the show notes, shall we?
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
All right.
I already did.
Well done.
I already did in the future.
All right. Well, in that case, I think this is as good a spot as any to drop our conversation for today. Ellie, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real treat, a pleasure, and a privilege to have you here. And possibly, if there's some more plugging of EDG to do at some point in the future, we could have you back.
July.
Yes, say that.
Yes, I can also plug right now.
Please.
We're gonna put on our next show starting on the Friday, the 19th of July. It's the last day of lectures. And then on the Saturday afterwards, and then Monday, Tuesday. So going from lecture into lecture-free time. We have 4 performances of Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. Because again, I will always go for the weird sci-fi shit. So if you're up for a performance that's like a retro sci-fi murder mystery, then by all means, come along. It will be fun. And confusing.
Awesome. Anything Douglas Adams is definitely going to be, high on my priority list. So, excellent stuff. All right, folks. Well, then, thank you for joining us here today, folks, and listener at home. Pleasure to have you with us as well. We will see you next time, then, here at Anglisten Assemble. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We'll give you a try. If you do well, you can go a long way. But if you fail,
The producers pledge that they will produce
you
only
can go a long way
movies
too.
which will contribute to your musical enjoyment and successfully meet your high-quality standards.
This episode of Anglisten Assemble was privately produced as a joint nonprofit informational project of students and staff at the beautiful Bielefeld University. All views and opinions expressed on the show in no way reflect the official views of the university and are solely the perspectives of our hosts and guests. Information provided is true to the best of our knowledge at the time of production, but this is naturally subject to change as some details are time sensitive. Anglisten Assemble is produced and edited by Kate Lee, Leon Dalashel, and Brian Rosema for the private use of our quality audience. If you want to get updates and further info about Anglisten Assemble, check out our Insta at anglisten.assemble. And if you're enjoying what you hear, throw us a 5-star review on Spotify. Those help us spread the word and get more Anglisten to join the assembly. Musical accompaniment today includes the sonic stylings of music from allesgimafrei.de. And finally, we'd like to thank our special guest today, the energetically elegant Elisabeth Ebert.